All right, welcome everybody. Thank you for being here, and we have a special guest with us tonight, a guy that has been responsible for a lot of, I guess you could say, a lot of subscribers coming over to the lab and a lot of exposure in that way. Mr. Chris McDonough, one of my favorite people, not just one of my favorite YouTube people, but one of my favorite people. I love you, buddy. It's really good to see you.
Thank you, sir. It's great to be here with Josh and the Lab Rats. Sure, love you as well, my friend. Appreciate it.
And we were just talking about your terrible wardrobe of the.
I jumped into my.
Well, that's fine. I don't mind that.
Surf shop. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh. I don't mind that. I mind it's the Padres hat, really. That but we're sort of in the same position here because the Dodgers, both of our teams are in the same division as the Dodgers, and Dodgers are headed back to the World Series against the Toronto Blue Jays. So
you got to give them do what's due. I mean, they earned it. They worked hard.
Yeah, they're a pretty good team. But you ever seen the movie Rudy?
I have
faith. I have a Toronto Blue Jays hat coming in the mail. I'm gonna wear it.
Good.
I don't know if it's gonna help, but I'm gonna do it anyway. But so how have you been, and what have you been up to?
I have been doing well. I've been staying out of trouble as much as I possibly can, but that's sometimes hard to do. Depends on who you talk to.
Yeah.
But health-wise, doing great. Brain still intact with dopamine coming into the body, so should be pretty good. And I'm still working, so you can't stop me. Karen will tell you that.
Yeah, I'm sure she's tried to stop you many a times, and
many a time.
Wait, I think you're just one of those guys that if you're not working, you're dying.
Amen.
I mean, my grandfather, it was funny because my grandfather, who spent 30 something years in the military, he went from that to working for the county as a heavy equipment manager because he was an engineer in the military. And when he had to give up the military, or to give up the county job because it was very physical and backbreaking, he became the church treasurer. And I remember, and it was kind of it's kept him, I mean, he was really busy, and you don't get paid for that kind of stuff. It's obviously a volunteer thing. And I used to ask him, I said, why do you do that? And he said, well, first of all, the church needs it. And second of all, I got to keep my brain active.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was completely right. I mean, it made tons of sense. At the time when I was younger, I was like, yeah, it seems just like a lot of, extra stress and stuff like that. But he was like, I have to do this. I have to keep my mind sharp. And I know that's what you do. And I know that you read and work and do all these things. And so, we're just grateful to have you and a part of the Lab Rat family, all the people from the interview room as well. So you look great. The Padres suck. The Giants suck. The Dodgers are good once again, and I hate that. I want to say one big doodle, and here's to the Bones and Coffee Fund. Well, I appreciate that very much. And how's Buddy, by the way?
Budjo is doing well. He's out of the room right here. Actually, he's at the door. Look, he's watching me.
Yeah.
He's on that medicine still, but we just took him to the vet, actually last week. And they said, man, they're surprised because remember, they wanted to put him down 3 years ago. And I
remember it vividly.
Said,
it was
no way.
We had several conversations about it. And I remember you said that if there's anything that I can do, like you personally, you said, I need more time with him,
I drove 1,200 miles to one of the only cardiologists in the country that treated his, problem. And Karen and I just said, let's go. Airstream behind us, Budzo in the front seat, and we were on our way.
Yeah. They kind of gave you grim news at first.
Well, when we were in Albuquerque, so remember we were in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and they were like the vet that we took him to because, we woke up in the middle of the night and he's, at the, right near my head, on the floor, and I look over at him and he can't breathe, and I'm like, what the heck? And right from there, we took him to the vet and, emergency hospital that night. And they said, well, let's keep him overnight. We'll give him oxygen and all this other stuff because we were in Albuquerque, right?
Yeah.
And so we were a little high, but we didn't know he had that problem. And the vet comes out the next day, after we went to pick him up, and they said, hey, here's our recommendation. We don't think he's going to last more than a couple months, and maybe you should consider putting him down while you got him here. And I'm like, where's the crack pipe, and how much you just pay for that hit? I'll be right back. And,
I mean, it was very insensitive.
Well, I mean, Karen and I went back to the trailer like a couple of babies, and we were just heartbroken for a little bit, literally. And anyway, long story short, Karen did research. We found one of only a handful of guys that, specialized in his, problem. And I said, let's go. We got our house with us, and we drove, I think it was about 1,200 miles to this expert. And he's still with us today, 3.5 years and going strong.
Yeah, he just needed some proper medicine and changing of food and things like that.
Yeah.
And it made all the difference for Buddy. I remember, I really did think that you were going to lose him, and because it did not sound good. I mean, I almost had that problem with Otis a couple of times. It kills you. It breaks your heart, and
it does.
So I'm glad, maybe you can convince Karen that you can get another one at the same time.
I know. Trust me. If I showed up at a Jack Russell breeder, I'd be like, that one over there.
They're pretty amazing. They're pretty amazing little animals, to be honest. They're just they're like feisty, like little like a honey badger, but just a little less intense, but not that much.
They're all animals are so cool. And there's just this, I don't know, there's just something that's there's a connection with, I think, the human spirit. And if people can get into that, and they sense it, if it's, cats have their own way, dogs, I mean, donkeys, miniature cows. I mean, we went to Arizona about a month ago. You ever been to Arizona?
No, I've never even heard of Arizona. I've heard
Dude, you got to
uh,
look it up. You got to look up Arizona. Okay, it's just outside of the Grand Canyon,
all right.
in Williamson. I think it's Williams, Arizona.
Yeah, Williams, Arizona, Arizona.
It's called Arizona, and you drive through, and there's, of course, we had Buddy with us, and when you pull up to the gate, they're like, "Do you have any pets? Do you have any animals?" I said, "Well, yeah, we got this little Jack Russell Terrier over here." And okay, well, you got to keep all your windows up, at all times, and they give you a little tag, um, and you got to keep it. There it is, and you got to keep your windows up. But you drive through. It's like in San Diego, the wild animal park where
Yeah,
you can drive around. Well, this is kind of a knockoff, but there are wolves, there are bears. I mean, and these dudes are just walking around, and they can come up to your car. And it was pretty interesting. Bud
yeah,
went nuts on the mountain goats, and I kind of kept him on the floorboard for the bears
yeah.
because I didn't need him lifting up my car.
He was gonna. He would have fit right in with the Bears. Would have just been, oh wow, he's perfect size,
Yeah.
And that's what you don't want. I remember when I got Macho. I remember thinking that I was like, with Otis, I was like, he needs a friend, and I was like, maybe I thought about getting a potbelly pig, and I didn't. But Macho turned out, it just so happened that Macho is half pig, half whatever, just a sack of meat and cheese. So
That's a great name, by the way. And Muscles here and Mascara, our little Jack Russell, are the best. Yeah, aren't they? I mean, all dogs are great but Jacks are just, man, once they connect, they connect.
yeah,
And they do their zoomies at 1,000 miles an hour around the house, kind of like your dog, I'm sure. But you're up in San Francisco, so he can probably get, some extra zoomies up there on the street, you know, down in the Castro district,
yeah.
Polk
No,
Street.
well, he could if he wanted to. He's not really allowed out by himself anymore. I think I told you about the time that I lost them. I spent 3 hours searching for them, and they were legitimately 1 block away.
Oh man.
Yeah. What happened was Macho got sprayed by a skunk.
Oh.
He found some hole in the fence. He ran under the fence, and for some reason, Otis, being the loyal soldier that he is, went with him. And I just hadn't seen him for a long time. And where are the dogs? And I mean, they were nowhere to be found. And I smelled the skunk, and I said, oh, he's out hunting. So, but it's
scary. That's scary.
Well, it was pitch black too, so it was a difficult
tomato juice.
Difficult thing. All right. So the link is pinned at the top of the chat. If you would like to call in and ask Chris or I a question about a case,
anything,
whatever, we're very happy to take your call. And I always, what case have you been paying attention to?
Wow.
You did more few.
Yeah, well, we just did a retread on, I went back with Karen and we looked over Suzanne's sister's conversation that we had a long time ago. I've been paying attention, obviously, to the Miliete case that's getting close to coming up here to court. So,
yeah,
Richard and, Mary Chris are anxious to see that thing happening. There's just a lot out there. I mean, I think some of this craziness going on, all over the world. It's not. I'm really into. Have you ever watched Chase Hughes?
Yes, I have.
That dude's amazing.
Yeah. Is he part of the behavioral panel, right?
Yeah, but I mean,
I
he's.
don't know if he still is or not.
Yeah, that guy's off the hook. I've been really listening to a lot of his stuff, staying low. The Ellen Greenberg thing, I got kicked off the air last Sunday or the week prior because I was covering that thing, and I guess the people there in the algorithm didn't like me. So
I didn't understand that when I was watching. I didn't understand why they booted you the way that they did. But I've heard that that's what happens sometimes for really no reason. And Kim, the link is pinned at the top. You click on the link at the very top, and it will drop you right in. And
right here. Come on down. The price is right.
Right here. And
yeah. How about Sebastian? What's going on with that?
You know what? So from what I've heard, and there's just a little bit of a update. There was a fella that came to town, and he does droning and stuff like that, and he claims that law enforcement did a search of the house back in February, and that allegedly, and I don't know if this is true, because I can't verify this, but it seemed to upset Chris Proudfoot that apparently Katie lied about a burner phone, but I don't know that to be a fact. So it's really hard to really find out what's true and what's not. But to be honest with you, Seth was out in front of the sheriff's office, with a microphone a month or two ago, asking, where his son was. And he got a lot of criticism for that. You believe that?
It's crazy.
Would you ever criticize somebody for doing that?
No.
Especially when their kid's been missing over a year and a half?
No.
I think all three of them should be out there, don't you?
I think that's logical. You would hope.
Yeah.
You would hope. I mean, just, there's here's always, I have to be real careful how I select my words, but it's a facade from this whole, the totality of this whole thing. One, he needed a lot of medicine. And if Seth was involved in any way, shape, or form, that means, excuse me, that means he would have had to somehow set up a pharmaceutical connection as well. And these kind of concepts and these thoughts, when you just use common sense, it just doesn't connect. The dots don't connect.
Sure. Right.
And so the fact that kid disappeared out of the house, the last, the parents that were there, his mom, his stepdad, the fact that they were the last two to see and or hear or know something about him, then you don't leave the house. Not yet.
Same thing as somebody else's case.
Well, unless they step up, right? When the parents step up and say, look, here's A, B, C, and D. I mean, think about what's happening here. The law enforcement, they're operating on a couple of different pipelines. They're operating on the statement pipeline, the information provided by the parents, and the second pipeline is, the information provided by the public. And then, of course, there's a one-off, we'll call it a third pipeline, and that's what the physical evidence is going to show you, and or the digital footprint or anything like that. Okay. And so as a result of that, it's not rocket science. You end up eliminating, through common sense as well as good gumshoe work.
Sure.
all the possibilities. And the the more you eliminate, the narrower those tunnels get and those pipelines get. And then you're sitting there.
Yeah, and for the people that are watching and maybe aren't the uninitiated, this is coming from somebody that has handled over 500 death investigations, over 300 homicide investigations with a solvability rate of over 90%. The man knows what he's talking about. And the Cold Case Foundation, as you've stated several times, has to be asked to be called in by, the governing, whoever's governing the investigation. But the Cold Case Foundation is a wonderful resource to call on. Don and Candace were offered it as well. Look at the Michael Vaughn case. They were very happy to have your help, the Cold Case Foundation's help. They accepted it, greatly. And hopefully we're getting some updates on that soon. I hear Brandy is doing much, much better. She's out of the hospital and she's home, and she's going to continue to fight for her child. Chris, we got our first call here, so let's go ahead and just take it. Kim, you're on the air. Go ahead, Kim. You there, Kim? I don't think Kim knows that she's there. Okay, well, there went our first call.
We're off to the races.
I don't know what happened.
For my next trick.
Yeah. Ta-da. Let's see.
Kim, call back in.
Yeah, Kim. Got a question? Call in. All right, let me check here.
So how's everybody doing in the chat while we're waiting?
And somebody said, I'm totally impressed with the Cold Case Foundation. Was reading through their website recently. A lot of experienced people there. Not only are they experienced, they do the teaching. They teach law enforcement. I know you guys travel all over the United States to do it. And, I love that. Where they keep dropping in and out. I got like 2-3 people who keep. Okay, hold on.
Technical difficulties. We have to go to space. Maybe it's the A1, AC3, or whatever that big gigantic spaceship / rock.
Coming. Yeah, I heard the one that doesn't have a tail, right?
Yeah, put your seatbelts on.
Can't wait. I'm really excited for that. All right. Okay, let's see if we got Kim back here. Kim, you there? Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can. Yes. How you doing, Kim?
I'm hanging in there.
Where are you calling from?
Lansing, Illinois.
Lansing, Illinois. What's on your mind?
I've been taking care of a hospice patient for 1.5 years. And they've been friends of mine for over 20 years. And somebody just stole his house. And everything that he owns.
How so? Are you saying that like it was like signed over?
And my son was murdered 3 years ago.
And the person that did it, are they in jail?
My son that was murdered. No. His son is the one that did it.
Your grandson.
Yes. And I called the Lansing Police Department. Yes, and his cousin and his cousin's girlfriend and an investor. Uh, Um, I had a detective working on it, Detective Murrin. Um, and they're all like giving me the runaround.
They're giving you the runaround on somebody being arrested.
No, because the person, one of the people, my grandson's cousin. No, no, honey. I'm getting like a lag. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
His dad is a police officer. His and just a few towns over. And instead of the detective and like talking to doing what he's supposed to do, he talked to the person that ripped off the house from one of my really good friends, which is the police officer's son, which is the police officer's friend or son. And it's just been so bad. I have to go to food pantries to feed them. I have to go to like food. Um, he's blind. He's on hospice.
And is this something that is being either one of these? Are they either one of them being investigated?
He said I have to take it to civil court. So I wanted to ask Chris. Detective Murrin out of Lansing PD. Um, was being investigated at a Lansing PD by Detective Murrin.
What was the question?
What is civil court? I've never dealt with this before.
Well,
What
it
is
sounds
civil court?
well, it sounds like you've got various things that you're talking about here. I mean, you're saying that somebody was murdered and that it was your grandson that or somebody's grandson that did that murder. So that's a criminal act. You've got somebody
But
who's saying,
no,
oh,
my
no,
son was murdered.
okay. So your son was murdered and it was a grandson.
Yeah,
of-
3
Mhm. Go ahead.
I'll keep going, Chris.
So that problem there with your son, and I'm sorry to hear that, that is a criminal act. The hospice gentleman that you're taking care of, you're saying that somebody has stole his house and his, all of his items and all this other stuff. That could be either civil or criminal. There are both sides of that coin, because the civil side of it would come in if there's paperwork or anything like that that would dispute the allegation that this individual did it with a, malice or a criminal intent to steal
I
from
have
the gun. Go ahead. I'm listening, Kim.
the detective has 2 videos, and one is with my grandson having JJ sign the deed over for $10, like a quick deed.
Okay.
Is this
So-
the same son? You said grandson or son?
My son that passed away that got murdered, it's his son.
So, and he's involved in this as well. Like, so he's involved in 2 different things, is what you're saying.
Yeah. So how old is the individual that is on hospice?
I'm sorry, I'm getting echoes. I'm so sorry.
If you turn your device off in the background, are you listening to us on a TV or something?
I'm listening to you on my laptop. What do I got to turn off?
How are you talking to us? Are you talking to us through your laptop?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah.
Just keep StreamYard open, but shut down YouTube.
Okay. Okay, I got it.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So how old is the gentleman that you're taking care of that's in hospice?
He is 58 years old. He's
And-
completely blind. He had a stroke that took his vision away about a year and a half ago.
Okay. And how long has he been in hospice? You said over a year?
A year and a half.
He's been in hospice over a year and a half?
Yeah. He's
Okay.
got congestive heart failure. I mean, he's falling down quick, you guys. Chris and Josh, he is. And I see
Okay.
it every day.
So,
You know?
and what's your relationship to him?
I've been friends with the family for well over 20 years.
Where's his family?
They all passed away.
So it's just him and you that
Yeah.
are left. And who came in to take his
And my
house?
son that spent 10 years in the Marines, he was going to make a lifelong career out of it, but couldn't.
Okay. But you're now taking care of this gentleman,
Yes.
and you've been doing it for over a year. And then at
Yes.
some point your family member got murdered. And
My son.
your son, right?
Yeah.
Is that the Marine?
Pardon?
Was that the gentleman, the Marine?
No. He's still alive.
So that's you have another son.
Yes. I have 2 sons and a daughter.
Okay.
I have 2 sons that were born very close together, and one came out like a street thug. I hate to admit it, but it's just, I'm saying it like it is. And then one that just took the right path. You know what I mean?
Sure. Well, here would be my suggestion and a quick solution. You need to reach out to Adult Protective Services, APS.
I already did.
Okay.
And nobody's calling me back.
Well, you be persistent.
I have been.
Yeah.
It's been over 4 months now.
You have to keep
Then
on 'em.
then call 911 and say, I need a welfare check.
Well, I've called 911 because my grandson stole 2 guns out of the house. And
Okay.
Because I didn't have the serial number because I don't like guns, JJ's mom used to carry, and it was her guns, and he didn't want to get rid of them.
Yeah, it sounds like you got a lot going on there, Kim. So what I would do is call 911 and focus on a single problem.
But I did, and on every single problem, Chris, I swear, on everybody I love, they just ignore me.
Well, I don't know how they could ignore you with somebody who's on hospice laying next to you.
They
in
do.
The house.
They do. The only one that didn't ignore me at first was the one police officer and Detective Murrin. But
Right.
then Detective Murrin called the person, Jacob Deanna, that ripped off the house.
Okay.
And just because his dad is a police officer a town over, I'm looking like the jerk. You know what I mean?
Sure. Well, and I can understand where you're coming from for sure. But, you know, the reality of this, also the second piece of this is if you don't feel like you're getting something taken care of, which it sounds like you're not based on listening to, I mean, every time you start telling the story, there's like another lane that opens up, to the story. And so, and I respect that. But what I'm trying to help you understand is with the authorities, law enforcement specifically, okay,
Yes.
if you're calling 911 and remember, they work for you.
But
Okay.
they don't.
Well, that's the point. They work for you. And so you have to say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Okay. And ask for a supervisor to come out and then have tell the supervisor everything you're telling us tonight. And if that doesn't work, then you go down to the police station and you say, I would like to talk to the supervisor of that supervisor. And
Well, I
then
already talked to the supervisor, Chris.
okay, then you talk to the next supervisor.
Right. You got to keep going to the top. I mean, it's just one of those things where it is, and it's not going to be easy. It's just not. And I understand. I hear the frustration in your voice, and I understand it. I've been through this kind of stuff. The court systems can be very difficult. They get very clogged up. One of the main things to do is, my aunt, when she was trying to file criminal charges, she was very emotional. And
I'm just so frustrated. I
understand, but the thing is that when you're talking to these people, you can show your frustration, but
I usually don't. I'm very, very nice.
Yeah, but just and try your best to keep your emotions in check. It's hard. I mean, it's one of the hardest things to do in the world. So, but what you have to do, like Chris said, when you get to a supervisor and that supervisor doesn't come back to you, there's somebody above him and there's somebody above him. And you just have, and I know you're frustrated. I know it's been 4 months, but you have to be persistent with it. If it sounds like you have a lot on your plate and that it's very hard to pick which one to do first, which one to go with first. But like Chris said, if you go one avenue at a time and you compartmentalize, you one at a time, and I think that you might see some results. Don't lump it all into one. When you called here, and I'm thank you for your call. You lumped everything into one, and it is hard.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. You don't have to apologize for anything. I'm just giving you advice. It's hard to separate, and it's hard to focus on one thing one thing at a time. Power of attorney is something that you're going to need to look into. And also, what's that?
Excuse me. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I am his power of attorney on medical. I called my son that was in the Marines for a long, long time. And I'm looking at seeing if he could be the power of attorney for JJ's finances.
Yeah, no, I understand. And look,
do you have a pen, Kim?
Yeah.
Okay, you're write this number down.
Can you give me 1 second to get paper?
Yes, of course.
Right.
Of course.
Yeah, like I said, a lot of times when you are trying to figure out an issue and you bunch them all together, people don't deal with that very well. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's how I feel.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, I'm going to give you two numbers: 708 8895 7119. That's Lieutenant Linda Monthy's supervisor.
Can you
That's her-
please spell that?
Sure. TOMASZEWSKI. Lieutenant John Tomanowski. That's her boss. And if he doesn't respond, then call 708 895 7127. And that's Chief Alfred Phillips' phone number. That's the police chief.
Out
And
of
if-
what place, babe?
Where you are.
Or I'm sorry,
Where
Chris.
you are, Lansing Village.
Okay, Lansing, Illinois.
Yep. That's their phone numbers.
Okay.
And if that doesn't work, then you pick up the phone, you call the news.
There you go.
That's what my dad used to say when he was alive.
The smart move.
There you go.
Smart move.
Thank you for calling. We appreciate you very much.
Yeah, thank you, and good luck. I know that it's a lot, and we're going to move on to the next call. But thank you so much for calling in.
All right, thank you. Thank you both.
You're
Good
welcome.
I'm sorry.
Sorry
Nope.
that
Sorry.
you're going through this.
All right, Melissa. Melissa, where are you calling from? Well, where's Melissa calling from? Melissa. All right, we'll come back. We'll come back to Melissa. No, we're not coming back to Melissa. Melissa, you there? They will need to connect their mic before you can add them. Okay, let's see. Hold on. Give me a second, Chris.
Not a problem.
We're gonna figure this out.
Should see me drive.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear it's not pretty, actually.
Hi, Julie.
Hi, Julie.
We met Julie at CrimeCon.
You did?
Yeah, they're awesome. Her and her friends.
Did you like? Was CrimeCon is it something worth going back to?
Yeah, I think we should go next year together in Vegas.
Yeah, we were going to go to. It's in Denver, right?
No, it's in Vegas.
Even better.
Have
you ever seen me shoot dice before?
Dude.
Hey, come on, man.
I saw you shoot a rubber band gun. You know, you couldn't hit a can.
Yeah, I can't.
Let's all go.
I want to. I think it's going to be great. And when is that in February?
No, it's in May. End of May next year.
Great, it's going to be hot. Okay, so Suzanne, you're behind you're in the queue, but your mic nor your camera is connected. So if you're listening, which I hope you are.
Thank you, sweet soul. Yes, there will be a corn dog buffet.
Oh, whatever.
At the Excalibur.
There's no such thing as a corn dog buffet.
Oh, there is.
Oh, there is. You've been to a corn dog buffet.
Yeah, I watched you win the contest. Remember?
Yeah, I remember.
It came in 3 hours. You've been in here. You got to go.
How did I eat them that fast?
No, it took you 3 hours. You just kept going back. They were like, 3 hours, you go, get out. Too many corn dog.
Yeah, that's true. I have been kicked out of a China buffet more than once.
Yeah.
Suzanne, where are you calling from?
I'm from rural Kansas.
Hi,
Hello,
how are you?
Kansas.
Two of my favorite people, Josh
Thank
and
you so
Chris,
much.
and
You're so
Dr.
sweet.
Bricato's not in tonight.
He's not here tonight.
He's on the piano.
Oh, good for him. Listen, I am a victim of a violent crime many years ago, 1978. My father was murdered. He was the second victim of a man who killed a cellmate, and then my father inadvertently bought the gun from him that he used for that. And he went back to get it. And then he got caught for that. And then he went to the state hospital and escaped from there. And they caught him. And while he was out, he murdered a third person, a random bystander. I have to go up to the parole board about every 2 years now. It's 1993 because he pled out 15 years to life. And I've been asking for hard 40 and we're past that now. My question is, so many of those police officers involved in that case aren't around anymore. And the parole board no longer has like the original file. And my concern is the gentleman's getting up there in age. He's in his early 70s. You know, I don't ever want him out. I don't think he's good for society. But how do I go about maybe trying to get the original file released to me? I hear it's an assault mine. Do you have any idea of who to contact through the police department?
Yeah. So it was a homicide case originally?
Yes, and it was robbery or burglary, robbery, whatever, and homicide. He
Robbery.
tortured my father, and I'm not sure that they're really aware of that. You know, the first one was a shooting, the second one was a shooting, but there was some serious things done to my father. He tried to make it look like BTK. This happened in Wichita, Kansas.
Oh, wow.
And I lived alone with my mother at that time, and the police came by and they were worried about us at that time.
Sure.
I actually, before cell phones, I actually couldn't go home until I went to somebody's house to call to see if my mother would answer the phone.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
you know, it's had a lot of effects, but I'm a lot older now and just
Wait, what
don't
year
want
was,
to.
can I ask you?
That was 78.
Okay. So when you say they don't have the original file, that it's stored away somewhere?
Yeah, I was thinking, do I hire a private detective to maybe, what I want him to know about is the autopsy or what he did to my father. And, you know,
So one of the things I would do is draft a FOIA
okay,
request. And they're real easy to do. You can get that language off of the internet.
okay,
Okay. And there are two places you want to send it to. The first, if you have any information about, you know, the details of the case, the victim, name, date, age, that kind of stuff, any of that information, put it into the FOIA and request that autopsy report through the county medical examiner's office there in are you in Kansas City or you're in Wichita?
that was Wichita, the
Right.
county
So,
medical.
yeah. Who was the medical examiner's office at that time in
I don't,
78?
I don't know in Wichita, but I can find out.
Yeah. So that's where you would want to go first. You want to talk to the medical examiner's office first, because that would be their documentation.
Okay,
And if that doesn't work, then the second place you want to go to is the court. And
okay,
you go through the clerk's office for that. And it's a
okay,
simple email.
okay,
And then the last place you would want to check is the homicide division of the police department there.
okay,
Yeah,
Those-
I don't think you're going to need a private investigator. I mean,
No.
these files, especially ones that old, should be released to you without much. I mean, the case has been adjudicated, and basically what you want now is just the information of the original crime, the original file, copies of the original file. It's something that I've went through with my family as well. I recently, within the last 2 years, you know, received a lot of information about it. And this was in 88. So, I mean, it was a little bit after, obviously, what the crime that happened to your family, but nothing was digitized. And what they can do is they can pull the file, they can scan them in, and then they can email you everything. It's really,
and they'll do that to a direct descendant. I was told you couldn't get it if you were family. But,
no,
okay,
you have more right to it because you're,
okay,
I mean,
okay,
but it's available to everybody. And I mean, not unfortunately, but it's the Freedom of Information Act.
Right. Okay.
They have to produce it. So that's a good jumping off point. And I would like to hear your progress with it. So give us a call back and let us know how it goes.
Yeah, he's up again in October of next year. So
Yeah, I have to do the same thing.
okay.
Suzanne, I have to go
Yeah.
before the parole board every 2 years now because my father's in his 60s and California thinks that, he has a right to come up for parole because of his advanced age. Sort of like the Menendez brothers, it's like they have to be, it's like 2 years at a time. It's insufferable. It's annoying. It's terrible. It sucks.
Well, and it's harder to get the letters and the appearances and as we go on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's now on Zoom, so that's easier now. I used to travel to 4 different
Yep, me too.
cities.
And
Yep.
now you can do it remotely, and it
Yeah.
everything much easier. And keep fighting, to keep him in there because that sounds like where he belongs. And but Suzanne, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate
you,
your help,
Suzanne.
both of you.
Good
Thank you
luck.
very much.
Keep us posted.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay, let's see. That was a good call. It was an interesting call.
Yeah.
78, man. I mean, that's the Wayback Machine, huh?
Nice try. Nice try. I know.
Yeah, All right, let's try Melissa again. Melissa, are you there? I don't know if Melissa's there. I think Melissa fell asleep. Let's go ahead and I don't know how to pronounce your name. Absalom? Maybe you can go ahead and tell me here. Are you there?
Morse code.
I think he's trying to work on his microphone. Sounds like popcorn. Josh, they asked the question in chat. What is the question in chat? How do I know my mic is working? I don't know. Say hi. Are you there? I don't know what is it? Why are we? No, I can't hear you. No. Make sure that hold on. Look at your settings here. It says that I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why we can't hear you. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Absalom, I think. Got a question.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, we can't hear you. So maybe just I don't know. Maybe put it in the chat, and then we can try it from there. Okay.
Got a question never heard answered before on the internet. All right. You may not hear it again. So what's the question?
We can only answer questions we can hear. Let's see. Well, he's unmuted on my end. I don't know.
Can you hear?
I can just hear it crackling. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to answer your question in chat. If you get your mic back, if you figure out your mic's working, look at the bottom in the settings. Go to your settings at the very bottom. Go to the audio portion and make sure that it's clicked on the right one. That way you can. You have to select your certain mic. So I don't know. Maybe did that work? Not.
Is there gold in Fort Knox?
Yes, I think there is, but I've never seen it. Okay, well, if you get it working, give it a try. Stephanie, we're struggling right now. We're on the struggle bus. You know, we're having we're having a I don't know what's going on. We're having a tough time getting connected. Melissa's just still sitting there. I don't know what's going on with Melissa. Let's see. Chris, here's a question for you.
Hit me.
Let's see. It says, I have a question. Are you guys following the case out of Houston? If so, do you have thoughts?
All the bodies,
I believe that's the one. Yeah.
are they connected to Austin? That would be my thought. Is there evidence that connects them to the bodies being discovered in Austin? And if so, then it will be really interesting to see what correlations there are between the two of them. You know, between the two of them.
Hmm.
And if it's a single operator, or are they? I know they eliminated a lot of those bodies that were found in Austin as being a single body dump / serial problem. But in Houston, you know, it may be a different problem, maybe a different situation.
All right, we're gonna try again with well, he's gonna pronounce his name for me. Are you there? I'm very hopeful.
Yeah, Caroline, I remember that. 53 victims, 50. In fact, I even got emails from somebody about how they were kind of unfolding, but you know, that's a lot of people.
Hello.
Melissa.
Yes. I was saying hello a
It's not-
minute ago. I
Give
just popped out and came back in. So
Okay. Well, now we're good. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fine. Where are you calling from? I
I
believe
am calling from Northeast Tennessee.
you've called before.
Yeah, I
Okay.
have. The Tri-Cities area there. So how are you, Chris, tonight? How are you? Are you
I'm
well?
doing well. Yes, ma'am. Great
Good.
to hear your voice.
Good. I just had a couple quick questions. I You were talking about Buddy, and I don't think I've ever heard you say what his diagnosis was.
Yes, ma'am.
And I have 4 dogs, so I'm always interested, I'm always wanting to hear. So what is going on with Buddy that you all have been treating him for?
So he has congenital heart failure with a leaky valve.
Oh, okay.
And so they've got him on diuretics.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Uh,
Like
and so,
Lasix or something.
yes, ma'am. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, he is, you know, he doesn't have the stamina that he used to have. I can only
Yeah.
throw his little, he's got this little bone thing. I mean, you've probably seen him, you know,
Yeah.
right.
He's
And
adorable. Yeah.
he can
Yes.
only go like 5 or 6 feet. And then he
Yeah.
turns around, runs back, runs out of gas.
Yeah. That's understandable. I have 4. I think the last time I called, Josh was like, "How many dogs do you have?" I have 4 small poodles.
Yeah,
So
right.
in my house, okay. So and they range from age that I have one that'll be 16 all the way down to one that's going to be 1.5. So
Wow.
I have 2 seniors and then 2 that are young. But the poodle, my very first poodle that I had congestive heart failure, but it was a really quick onset, and we lost her within 24 hours.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And so, but it's been many years ago, but she was only 10, and then Mila, the one that's going to be 16, after she passed 10, I was like, okay, we're good. I can go on, thinking she's going to be good. Um but we changed all their food. They eat this raw diet, and I think it's helped them immensely. They eat good food, and
Yes,
I think it's worth it. What you put in them it makes a big difference. So,
it does, and we put him on that the Dr. Marty's.
oh, that's what mine eat too. They
Yes,
break
ma'am.
me up, and that's
Yeah,
stuff. I have four of
I'll
these
tell you
dogs
what,
feed. I'm
did
feeding
you
that,
not
but
notice a huge difference?
it's a huge difference. And what amazes me is that every single day they get the same amount excited as they were the very first day that I gave it to them. I have one in particular that's kind of the chow hound because she has seizures and she's on medicine that makes her hungry. And
Uh-huh.
she barks continuously until I let it sit with the water for just a couple minutes, that is the most torturous part for them is just sitting there waiting, waiting for that to soften up. And so, yeah, I love that food. It is good stuff. It's expensive, but it's good.
It's
And
expensive,
I
but you
contributed to still having the one that's almost 16. I really do. I think that it's good stuff.
that's
But
awesome.
yeah, so but I'll be thinking about Buddy and you all because yeah,
Well, thank
my
you.
dad in one of my like I said my very first poodle. So but also wanted to ask, um, I I remember something in the interview you did with Candace at the lake, um, and it was regarding it was just I think it was a kind of a casual statement she made. She said she had another phone in her car that she hadn't turned in to police. And you said, but you're going to do that. Like, I know you were probably inside thinking, oh, I want to take that phone to police myself. But anyway, you urged her to turn it in. And she said, oh, well, I'm going to. I've got some business in town or something, like the next week or whatever. I guess I just wonder, do you think she ever turned it in, or do you think there was probably a lot of burner phones involved if these parents were involved, which I'm
Well,
like you, I haven't left the house either. Um,
yeah, well, and thank you first of all for sharing about your pups.
oh,
Um,
yeah, I love my
and
dogs.
now we'll talk about crime. Ooh,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
you gotta mix it up.
yes, ma'am. And so with what struck me, in retrospect, no, I don't think she ever did turn in the second phone, to be honest with you. But and remember
Probably
when
not.
she said that in her statement where she got the phone and it wasn't working, and then she just spontaneously said, and I threw the phone in the back of the truck and I went out and I then called Don.
Right. Like how many phones did they have? I
Right.
mean,
That
yeah.
made no sense.
Yeah, it didn't. It didn't to me either. I thought that too. I was like, well, wait a minute. It just doesn't make sense. And I've also heard that maybe that Candace was not one of the ones that made the 911 call, that it was, possibly Dawn and then maybe one of the boys. Or
I think I was the one that reported that.
really? Okay. So
Yeah,
you're the
and
one that heard that from.
you probably heard it from me. And
We
Well,
can blame Josh most.
that's all right. We'll blame Josh
I
tonight for that.
fully, fully believe it to this day. I do not
Yeah.
believe that he did call 911. I believe maybe somebody on the property did. That there
Yeah.
allegedly there are two, and this is good information that I've gotten, but that Dawn definitely did call. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
Um, but that Candace never did call.
Yeah.
And
Well, if she was talking to Dawn the whole time, how did she? I
I don't
mean,
I don't think that
you know,
she did. I
I
think
don't think she did either. I live in that area. I
yeah.
know that just driving down Highway 11W, which you've been in the area, Chris, so you're familiar with it, and it turns into what's called Stone Drive, and there's lots of restaurants and stuff down there. There's one area I drive by, and there's just like a cliff face that's beside of the road, and my SXM radio goes out. So I mean, you know, there's not great service, and especially down in there, where they are, is even way deeper. You know, back
Yeah,
in the
they are
back in the
definitely
sticks.
in that holler out there. I mean,
Yes.
it's
I
you.
live in a holler, but not like that. Like,
Mhm,
I mean, just it's the way the land is made where I
mhm.
live, and so I do live in the Tri Cities. I don't want to put myself I don't
I
want
think
to,
I
you
might
know
have
what I
listened.
mean?
Yes,
But
I
I do live in an area where I do live in a holler. Yeah, a road runs through it. There's a hill on either side, and you can stand on top of the hill and hear anything that anybody says and talking in a normal tone of voice across the street. I mean, it is very amazing how the sound carries. So, um, that's something that I
I
always
think
thought.
I personally think that God was trying to do us a favor by putting Dawn up on a hill in the middle of nowhere. We couldn't cause trouble anymore, and yet somehow he still figured out.
He figured
That's
it out. I
amazing.
also wonder too, there's been conflicting things about, well, Candace said the boys were all three home, nobody in, nobody out. And then they said no, the two oldest ones went to work with him, but Summer was supposed to be with Candace. So where was the youngest of the boys? Where was he supposed to be?
Chris,
And it makes me think that Dawn was home that day.
Chris,
Do
in
you
a
agree? I mean,
child,
does that sound feasible to you? I think he was there. I've heard him slip a few times and say we, or when he's talking about things pertaining to
I,
Chris,
that day
yeah,
that
let me ask you this, Chris. In a missing child's case, should there be this much uh, leeway in these stories? I mean, shouldn't you be able to know where people were when this happened? I mean, we've got
yeah,
different accounts from everybody.
yeah,
Don claims that he was at work. He very well might have been, but then
yeah.
he claims that he got there before the cops, and then he claims that all the dogs were missing, all 13 of them, the ones that you saw,
Oh
and
yeah,
all these different things. I mean, how can anybody believe anything that they say because they can't even get the basics down? And I'm sorry if that hurts some people's feelings or offends some people. Fact of the matter is, Don and Candace are suspects in the disappearance of their daughter, Summer Wells,
yeah,
said by Sheriff Ronnie Lawson. Everybody in Summer's case is a suspect. Everybody that was involved with her.
right. That knew her and was close to her circle as a
Right.
suspect. Yeah, yeah,
Exactly. And it's a frustrating case. And Chris, I know, and I'll let you talk about this a little bit, but you also think it's a solvable case.
I do. I think it's very solvable, and I think they have a lot more information that they're holding back that they're not going to put into the public arena. And the more that Dawn talks, and the more that Candace gets on the YouTube or wherever, Snapchat, whatever they're doing nowadays, the longer or the more they open their mouth, the better the case gets. And I mean, we first of all have to go back to what we know. And what we know is that the three boys were home,
yeah.
potentially.
Mm-hmm.
What we know is there were uh, electronic devices there
Right.
on the premises. And so the authorities have tools that they can utilize that can pinpoint, exact locations. Now, here's the problem. Just like in the caper we had up in Michigan with Dee Warner, we didn't have her body.
Right.
Mm.
Same here. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I stood right, 2 feet away from Dale, and he looked at me and I looked at him, and, Billy looked at him, and we all looked at each other, and we just knew that he knew that we knew.
Right.
And I had that same sense, and we were very close with Candace.
Yeah, I felt that you said that she broke down and she was just so close to saying what happened. And I feel that I think that she wants to tell. I
Oh.
don't know. I think she's just probably linked. Not that I have sympathy, but I guess, but that they're linked together in, well, you tell on me, I'll tell on you in some shape or fashion. That's probably not the correct way to say it, but um
Well, and didn't Don say that on one of his drunken stupors one time?
well, yeah, I think he did.
Remember?
Like, you're going down.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
I have so many alibis, and you don't
Well,
have any. Yeah,
because I do think that this is important, and I'll never forget it, because for two different reasons. One, if he is trolling Candace, it's and she had nothing to do with it, it's one of the most disgusting things I've ever heard somebody say to somebody, that is supposed to be, that's his wife. Okay.
Oh
But
yeah.
what he said was, I have 7 alibis. Candace ain't got none. She's
Yeah.
going down.
Yeah, he did say that. I saw that. I was on that live that night.
I couldn't
I,
believe it.
I
I
know.
can't believe it.
Yeah.
Chris, if you heard something like that, wouldn't you take a ride up to Ben Hill that night and go, hey, what's this about?
That's what I don't understand is like, why have, it seems like they have had, they should have had to be brought in for more questioning.
Well, that would have been my problem too. I mean, right?
I mean, like
If it
bring
was
them
my case, I
in.
would have lived. I would have put a tent on their
Thank you. I know that this sheriff this is his last term, so but there'll probably be somebody go back, sadly, back in there. I don't know. I mean, they lived so close, like 1 mile from the Sullivan County line. I feel like if they would have been in Sullivan County, this would have been solved. Maybe I'm wrong, but I mean, they solved the Megan Boswell case in like two months, maybe not even that long. Um, and so I just feel like, it's a very small department, and I don't know.
Well, it's you have to measure right with the experience level that they have, and you can't. I don't like. Some of the problems that I've had with that particular situation is, you know, if I could do it, from a perspective of where I came from with them,
Mhm,
then there could be a lot more of that done. What you have to lock people into their story. And once their story is locked in, then you can re-engineer that. Okay. And like even in Sebastian's case right now, if I was the case agent in Sebastian's case, okay, I would
mhm.
be at their door and saying, hey, I have a couple more questions. Can you show me where you were sitting, where you heard the thump, etc.
Right,
Okay.
right,
And then videotape it. Okay. And then go back to the station and watch that videotape 50 times, 100 times, and pick up either the truthfulness or the idiosyncrasies. I mean,
right.
and then you can build the case from there. I had a case one time. The victim's name was Rebecca Jensen. And the witnesses, the patrol guys end up stopping this guy driving her car. His name was David Mick. And Mick says to the patrol guys, they ask him, hey, where'd you get this car? Because this is from a missing woman. Okay. And he's like,
Mhm,
oh, well, that she gave it to a friend of mine. I don't have any other information. And she, took off to Tijuana and to party, and she hasn't come back. So we're just waiting for her to come back. Okay. So patrol
mhm.
calls me and they say, hey, we've got this dude driving Becky's car. Do you want to hook up with us? And I said, yeah, where are you? And I said, oh, and by the way, impound the car, put it into, evidence right now, period.
Mhm,
And so I meet them out there, and the dude, David, I said, where'd you get this car? And he goes, oh, well, that gives me the same story. I said, well, get in, and you're going to take me to where this car transaction takes place, where all these other dudes are supposed to be that took her down to TJ and she left her car. Long story short, we get down there and it's behind a drive-in uh, off of Mission Avenue, and it's by a riverbed, and it's basically a transient camp. I
yeah.
mean, it's a huge encampment, right? And so I said, okay, well, who'd she give the car to? And he points over to a tent area, says, oh, well, there's 2 girls in those tents over there.
Mhm,
So fast forward, I end up interviewing these two girls, and I just knew right from the get-go, their story wasn't lining up. It just didn't make sense. I mean, the mother has 3 kids at home. She leaves a pot of potatoes on the stove, and she jams down to TJ, to have a party with her 3 kids at home.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. I may have fallen off a couple of turnip trucks in my time. Okay. However, that day, God gave me some enlightenment. And I said to him, you know what? Let's lock this in. So I took him downtown. We locked in the story, and it
Yeah.
kept getting better and better and better. And at some point, I don't mean to interrupt you. I apologize.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. I think I interrupted you. Go
No,
ahead.
you're fine. This is fun. So at some point, right? The gal's name was Arlene. It was Julie and Arlene were the 2 girls.
Laverne and Shirley. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was. Exactly. And she then comes up, Arlene comes up with this story. Well, it was actually this guy by the name of so-and-so, such and such. She throws this dude under the bus.
Mhm.
He's the one that may have hurt her. I said, really? How'd that happen? She goes, well, I'll show you. I said, okay, when did this happen? And she basically tells me this whole story, my partner and I, about, it's in the middle of the night. I see them off into the, 30 yards away, and, the sun or the moon was out and blah, blah, blah. And so she didn't expect a curveball. I said, well, guess what? What? We're going to go do that. Okay. And we'll pick you up at about 10 out of your tent here. And so we took the cavalry down there about 10 o'clock at night. And literally, I had her stand next to me.
Mhm.
And then I had her put my partner where this witnessing was taking place of this guy taking the life of, by this point, the story had escalated into murder of this
Mhm.
victim.
30 yards away, right?
Right.
At
Exactly.
nighttime.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so when it was all over, it was like, even our camera guy behind us is filming, and he can't even see, where Brian was, my partner. He can't even see him. Okay. So
Yeah.
we're like, okay, thank you very much. Thanks for lying. Have a good day. Bye.
Yeah.
Go back to your tent. Anyway, it ends up about 3 weeks after that, we got a couple of cadaver dogs, fired them up out into the field in the area where she said the gal was, in terms of where the kidnapping took place. And we end up finding another dead guy, by the way, totally
Yeah.
unrelated.
That happens around here a lot. We have a lot of homeless, and
You know what I
they
mean?
just found a skull up in Johnson City like a couple days ago. But
Crazy.
it was a male. Before anybody thinks it could be summer, they released the names of the people who are missing that are males. So
Yeah.
there's a lot here. Yeah.
Yeah. So the dogs hit on that, and we're like, okay, that's fine, but we're looking for something else. Okay.
Mhm.
So literally about 2 or 3 days later, and this is, in my opinion, divine intervention, because I am literally at my house. I'm changing the oil in my car, and I had an impression, a feeling, Christopher, go back there. And I heard those words,
Mhm.
Christopher, whenever God or, the universe calls you by your first name, you better listen.
Yes.
And not only your first name, your
Your
full
middle. Your
Yeah.
middle name is in there. That's your mother.
Christopher.
Usually
I know.
throw
Right?
it all together. Yeah. Yeah.
So I pick up the phone and I call this gal. Her name is Lynn Diamond. And she was a sheriff's department search and rescue with cadaver dogs. And I said, hey, Lynn, this is Chris. She goes, I know, I see your number, doofus. I said, oh, yeah. Okay. Hey, by the way, I need to ask you a favor. She's like, what, McDonough? I said, can we go back to where we were, and would you please do that? She goes, I can't do that, because, we had to get authorization through the sheriff and everybody like that. And I said, oh, come on, Lynn, please. Right. And Karen's like, only you could pull that off. And I said, would you please, I'll buy Scout. That was her dog's name. I think I bribed her by saying I would buy her dog like a dinner or something. Right? And she
Gosh.
goes, all right, Mac, I'll meet you out there. I said, perfect. Thank you. True story, as God is my witness. Within 15 minutes, that dog found her body buried.
Wow.
And of course, from there, everything unwound. We end up hooking everybody up. She ends up confessing that her girlfriend, the mom was at the grocery store with her, with them in front. And Becky, the victim, paid for their groceries. They didn't have enough. They didn't have enough money. And then they made the decision, we're going to rob her. So they turned to her while she was coming out, and they said, hey, could you give us a ride? And thank you so much for paying for our groceries. But we're, living behind this drive-in area at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so out of the goodness of her heart, she drives them behind this drive-in area. She gets out of her car to help them get their groceries out. And one of the other girls pulls a knife.
Take
and
her life.
and took her life.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Crazy.
terrible.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's crazy. So, I think Candace, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but I don't think I am on this one. She knows what time it is,
I think
and,
so too.
and we'll see how it plays out.
I just, yeah, I wanted to ask that about I think a lot of people feel frustrated that they've not been drug in and questioned, more. I think everybody wants to see them hauled in and, this doesn't make sense. Wait a minute. You've said this and this and this. This doesn't line up. Can you make this straight? Make this make sense,
And the problem, a lot of the problem is too, look, obviously it's not what you know, it's what you can prove, but there have been many things that are chargeable in this case.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
it makes no sense to me. And every time I
Yes.
think about it, it frustrates me more and more. I don't know any, other than, paying attention to true crime and talking with, people that investigate and stuff like that. Even I know that there are things that they could be. I cannot believe they got a get out of jail free card with those kids.
Yes, absolutely. That, and I mean, even if you go back to just them at the lake, there's no alcohol even supposed to be there. And then this young man said, oh yeah, she gave me that. She furnished him things. He was underage. That's something that she could have gotten charges for. Am I correct, Chris? I mean, she gave a 15-year-old alcohol, and a vape. I'm not sure if it was nicotine or if it had THC or anything else in it, but I think it was just nicotine. But still, he wasn't even old enough to buy cigarettes. So that's two things right there. Just probably before anything.
Not only that, I mean, all the discrepancies and
Yeah. I mean, it's just like
lies to investigators. I mean, of course, the whole thing seems to be one big fumbled chance, and for some reason, without any explanation, because they don't owe us an explanation, but they did have, and they do have a responsibility. There were rumors of inappropriate relations going on, and those things were apparent on Candace's Facebook by the comments that she would make towards Hunter. There was something there. I don't know exactly.
I believe that too.
But I think that those things needed to be investigated.
Absolutely.
Further. And I don't know if they were, and I feel like they weren't, and it's very frustrating. But Melissa, thank you for your.
I will go. I know everybody else wants to talk, so but yeah, I just wanted to ask that about dragging them in, not dragging them in, but I mean, you know what I mean, bringing them in more to question them more, I guess, and also them not accepting the cold case help. That is just huge red flag for me. If you don't accept help from somebody that's willing to look for your child, that just run that red flag up the pole. That's just huge for me. So anyway, you all have a great night. And
you're awesome. And I think Josh's gonna. Yeah, this is Becky.
He's got somebody lined up. Good night, guys.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye-bye.
Let me see here. You want me to bring this one up now?
Yeah,
This
you
is
can pull it up. This is
yeah.
the case. This is the caper I was just talking about.
Give me a second.
That's all right. No rush.
No, none, huh? Not even a little?
No.
I'm just kidding. Okay, here we go.
Zero.
It's hey Chris, you remember this?
Yeah, that's when you were Amish.
Yeah, I was.
That's it. That's the caper.
Mm.
And well, the other one was another murder that we were having at the same time. So that's the other body I was telling you about.
Wow.
So on one side of the, we find Becky, and then on the other side,
it just by happenstance, right?
Yeah, it was just
like Suzanne Morphew.
A quinky dink.
Yep. All right, let's bring up our next guest. We got a couple more to get through, and thank you guys so much. We appreciate all the calls that have come in. And Mary Hartman, where are you calling from?
Utah.
Mary, how are you?
Hi, Mary.
Good. How are you, Chris?
Yeah, it's great to hear your voice, young lady.
Well, I've seen that you guys were on. I was talking to a cousin of mine, and I got off the phone with him, and I seen that the lab was on, and I was like, oh, let's go see what they're talking about. So I decided to come in because there was a question I wanted to ask you guys and about Summer. So now when she was swimming at the swimming hole, she had her bathing suit on, right?
Right.
And then Candace said that she changed her clothes, right? And then when the picture was taken of her sitting in the back seat, she had a pair of black pants on and that pink sweater or pink whatever. Well, when she went missing after they got home and everything, didn't they say that she went missing in like some, was it gray flannel pants?
Something like that.
What happened to her clothes that she was wearing in the truck? Nobody ever talked about that.
From what I understand, and it's been so long, in so many different details, but I heard that the jacket was maybe in a box, that it was like some box that was made for Candace that she ended up actually just leaving at somebody's house. And I don't know if somebody in the chat can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't 100% remember the situation, but I did know that when Dawn went to jail, she went to live with a lady, and that was one cat. The friend was Kathy. It was called Kathy the Friend. She even had a YouTube channel about it. And this was the memory box that was left at the house. I believe there were some clothes in there that were needed, I thought personally, to be turned over, and they just weren't. And I don't think that the sheriff's department ever came to get them, which again is nuts.
Yeah, it was crazy. But I would just thought, well, okay, so she got out of the truck and everything, and she went missing. Why would they say she had different clothes on? Because nobody ever said about her changing them black pants.
Well, it just lines up, right, Mara, with all the stuff. The many, many stories and the many idiosyncrasies, but it's craziness, absolute craziness. Have you heard from our friend, Donnie Boy?
I haven't. I have not heard from him.
Is he out there in Utah?
I don't know if he is or not, but so I was at my mom's house a little while ago and I was asking her about Sonia, Donnie's sister. Apparently, she's sold or in the process of selling their house in South Ogden and moving to Wyoming. I guess her husband is taking over his dad's business or something. So Sonia's moving to Wyoming if she hasn't already. And as far as Donnie goes, I don't know. I haven't heard from him. Nobody's said anything to me about him maybe coming around the house or anything like that.
Don's on the hill.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where's Candace?
Well, Candace is a bit of a free roamer apparently these days, but she's it's
Back
supposed
with
to
the carnival?
To be honest with you, and I'm not trying to be funny, but last that I heard that she'd moved, she was in with some lady and she was becoming a lesbian, and then that didn't work out, and then she was dating some guy whose wife had just died, and then the latest, this is all gossip and bull crap that doesn't have a lot to do with Summer, but that this a little bit does here, that they're trying to work it out now again. And every time they break up, I get probably 10 emails. Don and Candace broke up. And I say the same thing every time. They will get back together because nobody's going to put up with them for very long. They can only, that till death do they part and keep this secret. There's something there that bonds them together.
Mm-hmm.
Like just epoxy, you know what I mean? Like they have a secret. And that secret runs deep. So
yeah, I think Donnie's afraid of her saying something, and I think she's afraid of Donnie saying something.
I would think so. I mean, I would think so, and I think it's probably more Don's a little bit more scared of what Candace would have to say, because Don is a hardened criminal.
Yes.
Through and through. I mean, whatever like it or love it or hate it, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But
where's the real estate guy?
We haven't really heard much from Tim Mullen.
Yeah, I haven't heard much from him.
He still runs her Facebook page.
Oh, really?
Well, it's the one that he created. He calls it the official Find Summer Wells, but he puts a bunch of his own crap up there, like his political beliefs and stuff stuff that doesn't belong on a missing child's page.
Right.
He takes shots at DCS on there. He tries to talk to the children through there, which should be a violation in the highest order. And he shares photos of those children. Those children need nothing but to be away from the situation for sure. Because the two boys were adopted, but Josie, I don't know if Josie has been adopted yet.
Yeah.
And he's only a couple years away from aging out.
Yeah, that's what I thought. He should be 18 here. What, another year or so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
that's going to be an interesting dynamic.
I agree.
Yeah, a lot of people were asking me. I was in PG's chat one couple months ago, and they were asking, well, do you think that he'll go back to Donnie and Candace's house after he turns 18?
Well, if he doesn't have anywhere else to go, probably.
Well, the way he was afraid of Donnie when they were here, I don't know. He was pretty scared of Donnie, so I don't know if he would go back there or what. I don't know.
Well, I mean, Don admitted and Candace admitted that they all said that they didn't want to go back.
Right.
So hopefully that stands true. Even there's nothing for him there.
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing for him. His family is, it's just that's the problem with separating children, and it's a terrible thing, but it had to be done. I mean, it had to be done. Yeah. There was no question about it. And I'm not a fan of it at all. I'm not a fan of people having their children taken from them. I'm a fan of like a redemption, sort of thing. If people can straighten it out, there's nothing redeemable about that situation. There's just not.
Yeah.
How's your
If,
sister?
if the
How's
state goes as far, Chris, sorry, if the state goes as far to remove your children and then tell you, hey, you're signing them over or we're going to charge you with stuff, and they should have charged them anyway. They shouldn't have gave them a deal. I get so sick of that.
Yeah.
There's nothing for them. Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
No, you're fine. How's Jeannie doing, Mayor?
She's doing good. I think they're up deer hunting right now. Her husband got like a little spike or a little 2-point or something. She had taken a picture of him next to us, so but he was pretty happy. But yeah, I think they're up deer hunting right now. So yeah, she's doing good. And she's also got like one of her daughters moved in with her from Indiana, and they're trying to find them a place by them. So yeah, she's doing really good.
That's good. Well, we're going to be up in Utah pretty, coming up. So I'll call you when we're up there and we'll go do dinner again. Does that sound like a plan?
Yeah, I do. I would love that, Chris.
Okay, awesome. And send that husband of yours, a howdy doody and remind him that he married way up.
And
I
check out
sure will.
Mary's YouTube channel, which she still is active on. Can you go ahead and give the name, because it's kind of long and I forgot.
It's Mary Hartman's Dinner, Drinks, and Tasty Treats.
And remember when we came on the show and you did the vegan burger for old Chrissy here?
I remember that, yes.
And that was the best vegan burger. And by the way, Karen makes that all the time still.
Oh, does she? You know what? And when I tasted that burger, I thought it was going to taste funny or something, but it was actually really good.
Well, I still make those beer chicken wings, the Tabasco beer.
Oh my gosh. Did you
Mary,
guys
if
see
you
my
can make
latest
them-
video that I came out with?
I haven't seen the new one. No.
Extra crispy fried chicken. And oh my gosh, you will not believe what I put in them. You will not believe it. And it turns out so good.
And,
Okay,
and
everybody's got to go over there and find out.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you look, Mary's channel is posted. Mary, thank you. It's very nice to talk to you.
Mary, make sure if you can whip up a vegan corn dog for Josh.
Yeah. I'll try, but I don't know if I can find any corn dogs.
You don't have to worry about it, Mary.
Just
it's okay.
stuff some leaves from the fall trees.
Drink.
Put them all in there and just wrap them up with some sushi paper, and he'll eat it. Trust me.
Hey, you never know with what I come up with. You never know.
That's true.
It's not true what he just said.
You're the greatest, and we sure do love you and appreciate you.
We
love
do.
You guys too, and you guys have a good night.
Okay, aloha. Thanks, Mary.
Okay, we're gonna go back to Absalom. Go ahead, you're on the air. I don't know if I probably didn't say your name right.
Can you guys hear me now?
Hi, how are you, bud?
I'm doing okay. How are you, Mr. Diaz and Detective McDonough?
Thank you.
We can't wait for the question that's never been asked on the internet.
Fellow Irishman here.
All right.
Detective McDonough.
Top of the morning.
Top of the morning to you. So without getting into too many details, a patient of mine recently killed himself. Several years back, he was falsely accused of sexually assaulting a 2-year-old. And the case was thoroughly investigated. Everything came out to be to where he did not do anything. However, he was trashed to the point where he was referred to every part of his life. Everybody labeled him a child molester. And just maybe 2 weeks ago, he took his own life because he just couldn't take it anymore. My question to you, Detective, is what recourse does this man's family have in terms of, because a big part of the trashing of this man's character was due to the fact that, number one, he had made a report to police because he had found out that a father, um, or a relative, I'm going to say, of the supposed victim, was a not only convicted child molester, but had committed the crime again, and he was going to police. Well, instead of that taking place, he was labeled a child molester, and his reputation, everything was completely ruined. And up until he took his own life not too long ago, there were still people, even though he had done everything possible to clear his name. The child even stated 2 years after the supposed allegation that he had done certain things to this child, stated that the individual did not do it. And now this man is dead. What recourse? Now, I know you have a lot of experience with, I'm sure, cases of people, with child abusers, but what recourse do they have? I mean, how can you rebuild your reputation when you've been falsely accused of something as heinous? And I think we're all in agreement that not even murder is looked at as bad as hurting a child in prisons. Okay. But his family is, asking me to try to help them figure this out. They can't believe this happened. And um, that's my question for both of you.
So the first question I have back, well, first of all, that's a heavy weight and a heavy burden. Obviously, it sounds like you're a counselor of some sort. Am I off there?
No, I'm a licensed psychologist.
Okay, so yeah, and so obviously you're, in a precarious situation because he told you things that you're not.
Correct.
Correct. Yeah, you're not at liberty to explore. So the first thing that I would try to explore, number one, is the agency that investigated these allegations. First of all, okay, and then discover if he was arrested. Was he arrested at some point?
No, as a matter of fact, the first agency said there was no outcry.
Okay.
However,
what does that mean?
That means that the child did not say that anything happened.
Okay, so was he physically taken into custody and put into? No. Okay, so there were never ever any kind of charges against him.
There were no legal ramifications. However, his reputation at his work, his community, his church.
Right.
Now, again, this is all according to him, detective, but
yeah, that was my next question. How did they find out?
I'm sorry?
How did they find out about these allegations?
Because his family, not his family, the family of the supposed victim, I can't go into too many details, but one of the family members was a convicted child molester,
right?
Who my pate was about to go to the police and report this. Instead, they went to these agencies and claimed that he molested the victim. Both of them knew the victim.
Right. And so that's where if there was a defamation lawsuit in a civil situation, that's where it will start.
Now, defamation lawsuit might be able to pay you money, detective, and you know this, but that won't buy you your character back.
Oh, trust me, I'll just run my name through Google.
I understand. I was trying to figure out, have you ever had a case where a family so blatantly to protect a convicted child molester would go to the extent of blaming an innocent person of committing the crime that their quote unquote loved one had committed. And like I
Well,
said,
I've had more than that.
I'm sorry.
I've had innocent people where family members of the actual individual that committed the crime pointed it at the other people, and those other people in those cases were arrested, put on trial, and ultimately found not guilty, but their whole lives were destroyed.
Happens almost every time.
Yeah.
One thing that I can mention that also made this a little bad as well is at the time of this false allegation, Child Protective, the agency that was first contacted, took away the innocent person's 4-year-old and 2-year-old son for a period of time due to the fact that the family of the guilty individual claimed that he was doing things to his own children. And that was something that really, I don't know how to put it, because from one week to the next, this was as if it was a different person when he came to my office. So,
well, sorry, Chris, let me just say this. This kind of thing sort of reminds me of, the OJ trial. When OJ was found innocent, or he was acquitted, and obviously, a lot of people felt that he did do it.
sure.
And in the court of public opinion, he was ostracized from society. Now he was, I believe that he was guilty beyond a reasonable doubt with everything in every fiber of my being.
Mhm.
But he was found innocent in a court of law. But it's hard to regain your reputation from those sort of allegations. And to be honest with you, damn near impossible. It's one of those things where you probably have to uproot your entire life and move somewhere else and try to start all over again. And I know that that's not the ideal situation, but to stay in a community that something like that has happened, and it's never going to go away. Never. It doesn't matter if he's guilty or not. The public perception is that man was accused of something heinous, whether he's guilty or not. And unfortunately, there is almost no recourse to get your reputation back. Now, if people, you can go on defamation and slander, and you can do all those things. It's not going to get your reputation back. You can win all the cases in the world. You can win all these defamation cases. It's not going to change. The only thing that I think that you could do, and Chris, maybe I'm wrong, you'd have to restart somewhere else.
Well, to go along with what you just said, Josh, his wife at their church was constantly being told, well, where there's smoke, there's fire.
Worse.
And she said, how can you think you've known my husband for, decades, but it just, he can't go anywhere. He's dead.
Yeah. And Doc, that's, if I may call you Doc,
And
and
by the way, Josh, it's Absalom Kuykendall.
Absalom Kuykendall. Very good. Absalom.
Yeah, my family goes back 300 years to where I'm at in Texas. We beat Santa Ana at the Alamo. Go ahead.
That's awesome. Yeah, ask Pee Wee where his bike is. By the way.
It's there. You go. It's in my garage. But anyway, go ahead, Detective. Yeah.
No, and you're dealing with the worst case scenario. I mean, that the fact that the family is being re-victimized here even again by the fact, unfortunately, this your client felt that he was trapped, not only mentally, physically, but emotionally, to the point where he does self-harm. And
he got fired from his job.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible.
It was horrible. and what he was accused of, even so, I'm sorry to interrupt you,
No, you're
Detective. Go
fine.
ahead. Go ahead.
You're fine.
Well, even when the pediatrician examined the supposed victim, she said, this child is not, in other words, nothing had happened that he had been accused of doing to this child. Medically, let's put it that way. I think you know what I mean, Detective.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so even at that point, even at the point where all these agencies that cleared him, the detectives that interviewed him said, this is, there's no reason we don't. Anyway, I'm talking too much here because I shouldn't really give too
No,
many
you're fine.
details, but it just, for me to see his family, now his children are going to grow up without a father, all because of this other family trying to protect the reputation, or whatever you want to call it, of a convicted child molester who served 8 years for, I know YouTube doesn't want me to use the word, but you know
Sure.
what I mean,
All right.
an 8-year-old child. And not only any 8-year-old child, his own niece.
Yeah, I mean,
And now I can't understand it. It just boggles my mind why someone would go to that length to protect somebody that is of that type of character, let alone to the extent that they did. I mean, this man couldn't go to the grocery store without people, And yet, you're right, Josh. I mean, the community. I mean, he lived in a community of maybe 1,500 people.
I would never. Say I was in that situation, I would never stay there. I could not. I know. I'm sure family and everything. I just couldn't. And
Well, that's why he moved to where I'm at, which I rather not say. But I'm in a bigger city. Okay,
Mhm.
but the
But
mother,
how far away though?
the mother. Oh God, maybe 1,500 miles.
Yeah.
But the mother contacted his congregation,
Of course.
and then started the false allegations
Well, that's
again.
where the defamation comes into play. But you have to follow through with I get what you're saying,
Yeah.
and there is no good answer, because once you can't get toothpaste back in the tube. It's just, it doesn't work. It really doesn't, and it sucks that it's that way. In sort of asking an impossible question, to be honest with you, and I understand why, because there's no good answer.
It was just, I was very curious. I also saw how Dr. Mercado mentioned, of course, he's great. I love Dr. B, but you can never get back something like that, because even if you mention the O.J. Simpson trial, O.J. Simpson is not going to be remembered for his greatness on the football field. O.J. Simpson is going to be remembered as somebody that killed 2 people and got away with it. That whole ridiculous trial that was all a showcase. I don't even know what that was about. But that's what he's going to be remembered for. And what this man's widow is telling me is all the wonderful things. This man was a wonderful father. All these things that he was. He's not going to be remembered for that. He's going to be remembered as this person that supposedly, but and that, I think, is also part of the real tragedy of this, because now that quote unquote victim is now entering her, I think she's probably, this happened, she's probably going to be entering her teens soon, has even said that, she, I don't remember any, I don't know what you're talking about, and he told me that he's gone to everybody to try to clear his name. And To no avail.
I'm going to leave
Yeah.
you with this.
Well, one more point, Josh, I was just going to
Yeah,
bring out. I'm sorry, brother, real quick.
ahead.
And as far as the defamation suit goes, I had even recommended, have you thought about doing something legally, right? He said this family doesn't have anything that would equal anything close to what I've lost. Okay. And in terms of, I mean, his family, according to him, has no money and blah 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 blah. But his character and his reputation, everything, it makes me emotional because this man was driven to the point of killing himself because of how bad this was. And the even bigger tragedy was the person that found him was his oldest son. So,
Have you ever been accused of something that you didn't do?
Me?
Yeah, sure.
I think all of us have.
Yeah, but you specifically, have you?
My wife always tells me I eat the stuff that she puts in the fridge. But anyway, go ahead.
So think about it from this sort of standpoint.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sure that everybody has been accused of things that they
Sure.
didn't do, and to certain degrees, you know, obviously the seriousness of it varies. Obviously, this is one of the most serious things. And I remember having a very real conversation with somebody one time, and I said, "How does it not bother you?" I'm not, and I'm not going to go into what it was, but he didn't do what they had accused him of. And I said, how does it not bother you that people think that you did do something like that, but you didn't? There was no proof. There was no anything. It was just kind of a false allegation. And he said, it really used to bother me a lot. And he was looking down, and he looks up at me and he says, but sometimes me knowing is enough. He said, not always, but I know the truth. And that's all that I can do. That's all I can do. And unfortunately, I don't know how great of advice that would have been for him. But
well, he was a religious man, and he would often say stuff like, God knows the truth. Okay.
God knows the truth. And not only God, but him as well. There are things that we can't get out of people, we're talking about these cases, like the parents and, God does know the truth. I mean, that is indisputable, excuse me. But you also got to know the truth. And we all have crosses to bear, and it's a terrible thing. Chris has been accused of things that were just simply false. I've been accused of things that are simply false. And there are people that believe them. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing that I can do about that. All I can say is if you're that easily, manipulated and convinced of things without doing some research on your own, those are not the kind of people that I want in my life. I don't need those people around. Discard.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Josh.
No, you just got to get rid of them.
Detective, is there anything legally his family can do other than file I guess it would be a defamation? Is there anything legally that they can do?
Probably not, because he's the victim.
What about okay.
Yeah, unfortunately that, I'm not giving legal advice, but I would consult with an attorney, and the first thing they're going to say is, well, he would have to show, damages. He would have to do all those other things. And don't you feel as a psychologist that we're kind of, we have this, I don't know what it is, this big lie being told through social media across this country, across the world, quite frankly, that we're all enemies. And, you know, I think that's a huge, huge problem in today's world where, you know, anybody can say anything at any time and there are no consequences for it.
Yeah.
And in England, they're taking it to the extreme. I mean, you know, you can't even do certain things over there where you can't even put Facebook post up, and that's not the solution, you know. So I really feel sorry for their family. I'm sorry you've had to experience it, and I'm grateful that you're trying to help them.
Well, I feel like I
Mhm.
failed him as his doctor because I was not able to help him. And one thing I've often wondered going along with those lines of thinking, Detective, is I don't know if this has even happened before legally. Does the victim ever required to take a lie detector test?
It all depends. I've had cases where, I mean, I had one woman who would, you know, the allegation was against her ex and that he had broken into the house, et cetera, tied her all up. And when the patrol guys got there, she was literally tied to a table, her ankles, her legs. You know, she had bindings behind her back. And it looked like, yeah, this, you know, this was the real deal here. And through the investigation, though, she finally broke down, uh, you know, on her own because she couldn't handle the weight anymore. And essentially said, okay, you know, I've been lying through this whole time. He didn't do it. Meanwhile, you know, we're about ready to put some bracelets on this guy and to your point, probably ruin his life, but not intentionally, right? I mean, we were looking at the evidence
Yeah.
that was being presented to us.
You were doing your job, yeah.
Yeah. And so fortunately, we didn't get to that place. And, you know, I'm dealing with a case right now where there's somebody sitting over, uh, you know, in the jail. In fact, I interviewed him this morning where there's allegations of things that had taken place. And, you know, you've got to put the big question mark up there. Well, wait a minute, you know, because somebody says something, is that really, you know, what's taking place? If it's obvious, and of course, you know, the sexual assault is the worst type of violence that can ever be put onto, you know, a woman ever. And and when you add a child,
Yes.
it multiplies itself 1,000 times. Right. And so you always have to, from an investigative aspect, as you're aware of, even from a medical position, I'm assuming, you know, you've always got to approach this position of let's listen and let's, you know, see and hear and believe. And then what we'll do is reverse engineer this through the evidence that presents itself, not only the, you know, the verbal stuff that comes out, but if there's any physical stuff, et cetera. And when those stars aren't lining up, then you can sit back and you say, well, you know, wait a minute. And so when you have a child at 2 years old, they're not going to ever put a child, you know, on a polygraph machine for obvious reasons.
No, of course not. No.
Yeah. And those forensics interviewers, in my opinion, in today's world, they don't have your skill set of critical thinking or active listening.
Right.
They, you know, they immediately assume, and you know what that word, right? We both know what that word means, that this is the way it is. And so they don't have any type of critical thinking skills. And by the way, this is in the law enforcement community as well. You know, if it doesn't come up on, you know, AI or Grok or Chat GPT, you know, today, they're in a quandary. They don't know how to think outside of the box sometimes. And
well, Detective, when you and I were growing up, we couldn't pull out a phone and look up anything, you know, that we wanted to. when I was growing up in the 60s. That anyway, that was unheard of, that we'd ever have Star Trek technology in our pockets.
Right.
But you know, and as you know, I'll call it grape. It's a crime of power, usually, that the person's doing it. It's controlling the victim. It's not so much a lot of times of, you know what I'm trying to say, detective.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's dominant and control.
correct. And in my experience, from what I've dealt with as well, a lot of these individuals that are guilty of these mass shootings even were horribly abused as children, many of them, if not all of them. And part of the way that they release some of that anger is by inflicting this kind of damage on others. So I don't think a lot of people understand that a lot of the things that are done to children as they're growing up make them into the adults that they are. And when I say that, I mean from an abusive standpoint. You as a parent might think that you're administering discipline because your father or mother did that to you, but that will not necessarily work in today's culture.
Right.
Okay. I mean, would you have thought, detective, in the 60s that you would have ever heard of, you know, I was bullied through Facebook. Someone wrote something bad at me. I'm depressed. I'm 12 years old. They wrote a bad thing about, what are they called on, you know, on Instagram or whatever those social media things are. And it's something that you can't prepare for, because the next generation after us, you know, what are they going to have to contend with? So, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Do you have Netflix?
I believe I do at home. Sure.
Have you seen the program Unknown Number?
No.
Go watch it. It's going to blow your mind.
Not to spoil it, but what's it in reference to? Because my time is extremely valuable.
Trust me, this will be a benefit to you in your practice as you're talking to this generation, to your point, what you just brought up here.
Okay. Unknown Number on Netflix.
Netflix.
I will certainly do that.
Did you see it, Josh?
I haven't, but I know what it is.
It's a mind blow.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to ruin it for anybody. And don't put it into the chat either. Anybody, don't, if you've seen it, don't give it away yet. But it's a great movie, or it's a great docuseries.
It looks like a lot of people have watched it.
Oh, hey, it's amazing. Go ahead.
Detective, I really appreciate you guys listening to me and giving me the time. And I love you guys' show. And Chris, I have never seen detective. I have never seen somebody able to get a suspect be able to talk the way you do.
That's right.
To me, it is what they do in psychology is you get a person to go on what's called a TDS, a transdeprivational search, which means that person relives the act and it comes out and they have to get it out. And I don't know how you learned how to do that, not being a psychologist, but you're excellent at what you do. And Josh, you do a great job on the lab.
My mother.
Oh man.
I'd like to meet you one day in person. Come to CrimeCon. We'll have dinner or something, hang out. I'd love to meet you. Thank you.
I would love to meet you too. And also as being a member of the Wacomico tribe, I appreciate everything that you're doing for the Native Americans as well.
Thank you, sir.
Detective. So thank you very much. And Josh,
and
thank you.
I'm so glad that we got your mic working and that you were able to call in. It's been a fantastic.
I'm an old man. I'm sorry. I still pick up a landline. I'm sorry.
Not a problem.
You guys have a good night. Thank you so much. Y'all take care.
Good night.
All right, we got one more, and we'll go ahead and Tracy. Go ahead, Tracy. You're on the air. Where are you calling from?
Hi guys, how are you doing tonight?
Hi, Tracy.
Hi. I'm doing pretty good. Josh, thanks for having this show tonight.
You're welcome.
And whenever I see you post a show, I get so excited. And Chris, I watch your show every Sunday. And I just love it. One of the cases I've been really curious about was Emily Pike's story. Did they find the suspect or suspects?
So great question. And so my pulse is on that case, obviously for obvious reasons, right? You know, they just arrested the gentleman who killed the two teenagers who were in the same geographic region.
Okay.
Where now they were across the mountain plain, right? Because that's the San Juan Apache tribe. It's the boundaries between, you have the White Mountain Apache tribe at one end, and you have the San Juan Apache tribe at the other end. But in the middle is where the two teenagers were found, and about, I think it's like 13 miles over a hill range is where Emily was found.
Okay. Yeah.
So about 2 weeks ago, they just, or thereabouts, they just arrested a guy, total stranger to the two teenagers, but he used to camp up there, and he had an ATV that, you know, you could go through all those fire roads and stuff through the, you know, the back mountain area there. So I think he's a real interesting, you know, subject. However, the difference there is both of those victims were shot. And then, and Emily was obviously, you know, dismembered.
Right.
However, but don't forget, there was also a gentleman a year before Emily that was shot in the exact same location where Emily's body was discovered. So I would assume they're going to take the ballistics, if they have it, from that crime scene and do a comparative analysis, I would hope, to the guy they just hooked up for the two teenagers.
Now, Chris, to your knowing, the one that they found for the ones that were shot, was he a part of the tribe?
No, they were not. They were just two teenagers from the valley in the Phoenix area.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what was interesting, it was, you know, they were just over the hill of
Right.
where Emily was found.
Wow.
And so I did talk to some folks, the family. I'm, you know, in tune with the family, and I also met with the investigators. Believe it or not, the lead investigator had actually come to one of our classes, and when we were training, you know, the Native American law enforcement guys on the homicide task force. So the lead investigator was one of my students. But you know, as crazy as that sounds, and they've been working very closely. Cash Patel, the FBI director, they met with the family. The FBI director met with the family, and said, we're going to dump all kinds of resources into this, and which they have been doing that. So I know they've executed some search warrants. I'm not at liberty to, you know, talk about any of that stuff, but they've hit a couple of houses, and, you know, they're reverse engineering it. And, you know, let's keep our fingers crossed that they, you know, I gotta give it to these guys, you know, because you guys know me. If I see something like that's goofy, I don't know what it is, but I don't have a valve to say, you know, that's not right.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And so, you know, I'm 1000%, you know, back the blue until they do something stupid.
Right.
And then I'm also, you know, going to tell the reality of, you know what, that's wrong. We shouldn't be doing that, you know, or giving even that perception to the public that it should be happening. So that said, I will tell you, you know, full kudos to what's going on in her case. There is some activity moving, and let's just cross our fingers that they resolve that. And remember the other gal that was found in Utah about 156 miles away on the same road in the bag?
Yeah. Yeah.
They solved that.
Okay.
They just solved that. It was an ex/boyfriend kind of thing, and they identified the victim through genetic genealogy reversal.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
Chris, do you have a sense of, I know we talked about it on the show. I think Dr. Bricado probably talked about what the suspect would be like, the profile, but I forget. It's been a while. But do you have a sense of, if this was somebody that she knew or part of the tribe or?
Well, there's you always you lean back onto the victim continuum, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's high, medium, low, environment, situation, circumstance. And you place her, she is at a high risk because she left
Yeah.
the facility
Right.
the night she disappeared. And so that puts her, more on the continuum to the right,
Mm-hmm.
and which is more consistent with a stranger opportunity that would be involved. Now, if she made it back to the reservation,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is kind of still a question mark, and let's say she made it back to familiar circumstances, environment, and her situation was, hey, I'm back on the res, I'm hanging out with my family, then that would put her to the medium to the low side. And then that would play into what you're thinking, that yes, it could be somebody in her circle of influence and environment. And maybe, it could be a family member, it could be a friend, it could be a neighbor, it could be an acquaintance, and so the investigators would want to break that down rather narrowly. And that's why these two anomalies, when we're talking about children, with Summer, for an example, Summer is a very low risk victim.
Mm.
I mean, she's at her house.
Right.
Okay. She's in a basement.
Mm.
Okay. So the suspect is at a higher risk of capture by having to go through all these types of steps to get into that house. He'd the suspect would have had to known, okay, she's going to be in there at this exact time, or I had to have eyes on her at that exact time to know she's down there in the basement. Okay, I have to know that the door's open, or at least take the chance that the door is going to be open. So when you start measuring that stuff versus, Candace, what happened? Oh, well, I brought her into the house. I asked the boys, keep an eye on your sister. She went downstairs. She disappeared. What?
Hmm.
You see where that goes? And it's the same thing in the Sebastian case. Well, I last heard a thump at such and such a time. He was in his bedroom and I told him, go to bed. I wake up, he's gone.
Mm.
What? Okay. So what kind of, now you got to put your thinking cap on, and we've got to put ourselves in the shoes of the offender and say, okay, I know that Sebastian's in that room. I know he's in that room at this exact time, and that the last thing the mother's going to hear is when I'm taking him out of the house somewhere, locking all the doors and windows behind me.
Right.
So that's the victim risk continuum. And so Emily fits in that volume further to the right. If she's out just trying to get a ride back to the reservation, she's further to the left if she makes it back to the reservation. And the investigators aren't particularly telling us exactly how that works.
Do you think that the suspects will be found, or suspect?
In her case,
Yeah.
I do. And I also think that Sebastian's case will be solved. And I also think that Summer's case will be solved. And I also think that the kids up in Nova Scotia, that will be solved.
I think so
That's
too.
good to hear.
I think so too, and I think that everybody thinks that there's some instant gratification, where this happens overnight. These cases carry on, and they really do, and that's unfortunate because we're not we want the answers, but it sometimes it takes, I mean, I've once heard him say like the missing people or under suspicious circumstances typically can drag on, 5-10 years sometimes. It's not uncommon, is it, Chris?
No, and 30 seconds. Hang on. You know how I am.
I got it. He was going to wear his best Bucky shirt for me tonight, but I wish he would have changed.
No, but that's a good point that you bring up, Josh, about it taking a long time.
They do. I mean, when somebody doesn't want you to find somebody, it's hard to find. I mean, it's very difficult. Finding missing people that don't just wander off is very tough.
Right here. These are just my case notes for Leticia Hernandez, December 16th, 1989.
Wow.
This is sitting in my office.
Wow.
24/7, 365. And at some point when I'm on my deathbed, I'm going to hand this to my wife because I'm older than her. And she's only 21. And so
she looks 21.
And the investigators all have copies of this. So I don't have anything they don't have. Actually, I have the copies. They have the originals. And at some point, her case will be solved. We already know who did it. We just didn't have enough evidence at the time to tie it together.
Not only that, the judge also screwed you guys on a ruling for DNA.
He did.
Big time.
He did. It was a federal judge too.
Shocker.
Yeah, go figure. But anyway, so always be optimistic with children and the fact that they've been taken off of this earth so problematic, because the burden is on that suspect. They know that the PD will never ever give up, because at some point somebody's going to come in, a new detective is going to come into Hawkins County, and he's going to blow off the dust on this situation like that and go, you know what? I'm going to call this guy up, or I'm going to call this woman, or whatever, whatever. And they're going to resolve it.
And demand when you vote
in Ramsey's case.
And when you vote for a sheriff, because they're politicians, demand that they look at these cases when they come in, make that a part of their coming into the community. Hey, we want these cases solved. We don't feel the last administration did enough. If that's how you feel, do that. Vote locally. It means a lot. And vote for a sheriff. Vote for a chief of police who is hard on crime, and not somebody like in the Jake Harrow case where a judge looks at this guy and says, yeah, he may have almost beaten his daughter to death, but he only needs to do 6 months because I believe in redemption. He gets out, does it again. Then he admits that he killed his son, Emmanuel, just recently. You cannot release these people back into society the way that we have over and over. And I said this about my own father to a parole board. I told him, I said, are we really going to gamble with somebody else's life that because he's been in jail for 30 something years that he's learned his lesson? No, he's just been in here. What happens when he gets put to the test? Are we willing to do that to some poor woman that, he says, well, I love you, and then she wants to leave? No, I don't think that that's how that should happen. And we're playing with people's lives, and it gets so old to me, Chris, hearing these repeat offenders out there just causing, just causing havoc on their second chances.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make any sense, but there will be a shift. I think we're seeing a law and order shift taking place on the streets today. And, some are for it, some are against it. Well, okay. it'll sort itself out, right?
It should. It should. There are people that walk amongst us that shouldn't be.
That's right.
And not just because they haven't done anything yet, but there are people. Eliza Fletcher. I don't know if any of you remember this case, but the man that kidnapped her and killed her had just gotten out of prison, serving 20 years for a kidnapping. 20 years. They said, "Oh, he's reformed." Lady goes out jogging, takes her to an abandoned house, does God knows what, kills her. And this guy's walking the streets.
You can't fix them. I mean,
Nope.
if there is a sexual component to a homicide, they need to just go in there and rot.
Yes, because their fantasy and for them to get what they want to fulfill is more important to them than somebody's life. We don't need them in society.
That's right.
Got
That's
to
right.
go. And people stand up and be vigilant. Like Chris always talks about. Don't walk down a back alley by yourself at 2 a.m. There's no reason for it. Don't be out and about. The old saying is what? Nothing good happens after 2 o'clock. I think 2 o'clock's way late for that. But it is all about prevention and risk assessment. And Chris, I sat through that class at the Cold Case Foundation, where we talked about managing risks. And
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Oh, baby, I'm certified. What are you talking about? And it was a fantastic class. And I was so honored to be able to take it, and I believe you guys still offer those, don't you?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. So check out the Cold Case Foundation. And Tracy, thank you for your call. We're going to let Chris get going. Yeah, he's got to work.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate you.
Aloha. Thank you.
Thank you much.
Okay.
Bye-bye. And let me see here. Let me get this really quick, Chris. Great live tonight. I would love to know what Chris thinks about 1991 yogurt shop suspect. This is an interesting one. It's being solved. Justice for Jennifer, Sarah, Eliza, and Amy. My siblings went to high school with two What's that?
Did they get the guy?
Yeah, through genealogy. Yeah.
Perfect. That was an execution, all 4 of those kids.
Yeah. You know what? I had just watched something about this right before this kind of news broke. And the detectives that worked that case tirelessly worked it. And they were convinced to not try and fit a square peg in a round hole, because they had suspects galore. They had all kinds of stuff. And every time they come up, they go, it just doesn't fit. It doesn't make sense. And they go, and he would say, I wanted it to so badly. So wonderful news on that. I mean, what a disgust. That community has never been the same. I mean, I've followed that case for a long time, and I know you have too, Chris. And yeah, I was
aware of that case back when it happened.
I bet, yeah, it was big. It was a quadruple homicide, and then he tried to burn the place down, and it was just a really sick case. But wow, no, I'm glad that happened, but what a terrible. What's that?
Fantastic evening. You got great lab rats, great friends.
It's a lot of fun, man.
It's been fun. It's great calls. It's been fun.
Absolutely.
I'm not like Gary, I'm not a counselor. So, I can't think, counseling.
Yeah.
I can only think of.
You can talk shop.
Hook them up.
Hook them up.
Hook them and book them.
Hook them. Book them. Chris.
We can tell funny stories all day. Josh.
I love you, buddy.
I love you too, bud. You're
Thank
awesome.
you for being here. Let's do it again.
You're an amazing human being. And Lab Rats, we sure appreciate you. Hit that subscribe button for my channel if you're over here.
Yes, please.
And tomorrow night, if I can pitch, I'm going to do something tomorrow night, part 2 about Suzanne. I'm going to talk about, her state of mind. And so if you guys will join me over there tomorrow, I'll have the thumbnail up tomorrow. But in the interim, let's take care of each other as always. Go ahead, Josh.
Oh, just really quick. Are you familiar with the Chiron Hormone case in Portland?
In full transparency, I'm not. I apologize.
Yeah, no, it's a little older case, but
I'll go look it up as soon as we hang up here.
yeah, it's a interesting one. Terrible case. And Shana gifted 10 memberships. Thank you so much, Shana. I appreciate that very much. Go ahead. Sorry, Chris. You got a Barrymore, or you got a Suzanne Morphew.
Yeah.
Part 2 on. Do you know what time is it tomorrow?
It'll probably be around 6 or 7.
Right, so about 6 or 7. So be looking out for that. Hit that notification bell. Chris has been he's been really invested in that case for a very long time. He's who got me. He got me into that case. I have a very big disdain for men who are accused of killing their wives for some reason, and I pay special attention to the Miliete case and the D Warner case and Suzanne Morphew as well. It's there's a lot of sick bastards out there, Chris, and we have the same disdain for them.
Job security. All right.
Take care.
Hey, don't set off Barry's device, would you? So have a good bye.
Take care, Chris. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to Chris. Thank you to everybody, the donations and the likes and shares. I appreciate it very much. Yes, Jack and Lily also in Canada, those two children, the marginalized and forgotten. And, people probably didn't even know much about those kids when they were in society, and children get overlooked a lot of the times, especially if they have things that are deemed as, something wrong with them. It's easy to overlook. We shouldn't do that. I mean, these are children, and they don't choose this. They don't choose to go missing. So, yes, and check out the Cold Case Foundation as well. And we'll catch you next time. Appreciate it.